Welcome back to the program. I'm going to start off with this just in case this is a Substack preview. I put out an article earlier today offering free memberships for Memorial Day weekend, today, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Anyone that signs up, they get a free copy, PDF copy of my book, Preserving Liberty. And the reason I'm doing that is because I'm going to show you, if you read my book, I guarantee you that you will become a paid subscriber. And not only that, you'll stay for the long run, just like everybody else. So that's why I'm doing it. So I hope people take advantage of it. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about was the fact that I have been saying for the longest time, election integrity has to be number one on the agenda for the Trump administration. I like to be cute and say we need more DEI, right? We need to open up a Department of Election Integrity. Is it possible that President Trump and his administration very soon might actually start realizing the importance before the midterms of election integrity? Well, there's certainly a glimmering, shining hope in the background. Check this out. Trump administration is rolling out a brand new tool to stop non-citizens from being able to vote in our elections or somehow hijack them. Okay? This is awesome. I figured after the horrible kill switch story yesterday that I'd lighten up the mood a little bit. The Trump administration is unrolling a new initiative on Thursday next week that will help prevent non-citizens from voting in U.S. elections, a high priority policy for the White House. This is from the Daily Caller. So for them to say that, that's encouraging. The U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, USCIS, is updating the Systematic Alien Verification for Entitlements Program, also known as SAVE, and partnering with the Social Security Administration in order to ensure a single, reliable source for verifying immigration status and U.S. citizenship before anyone is allowed to vote, according to a memo exclusively shared with the Daily Caller. Under the update, state and local officials will be able to input Social Security numbers for verification of U.S. citizenship and thereby preventing foreign nationals from voting in American elections. Now, my immediate question comes to mind. Is it mandatory? Is there anyone that's forcing them to do it? Are blue states going to do it? So obviously I have a few more questions because that's my nature, right? For years, states have been pleading for a tool like this to help identify and stop illegal aliens from voting in our elections, said USCIS spokesperson Matthew Tregesser. Under the leadership of President Trump and Secretary Noem, USCIS is moving quickly to eliminate voter fraud, Tregesser continued. We expect further improvements soon and remain committed to restoring trust in America's elections. Well, that's a good start. How about mandatory voter ID? Let's pass the SAVE Act, okay? But yeah, hey, figuring out a way to eliminate people from voting in our elections is a great start. Is it mandatory? Is there teeth behind it? Can you force these states, these county recorders' offices, these state election officials, these state secretaries of state, can you force them to use this tool? Will there be any repercussions for someone not checking a Social Security number? That's what I want to know. So I'll be doing a little bit more digging, but it's a positive start, certainly in the right direction. So anyway, wanted to start with that. Now, the other thing is the auto pen scandal is just starting, okay? It's in its infantile stages as of right now. It is going to blow up completely. Now, there's a couple of things. We don't want another Comer, right? James Comer, not James Comey, Comer investigation in the House of Representatives that goes nowhere or even recommends to the Attorney General prosecution. No. I believe exactly what Kayleigh McEnany has been screaming for the last 72 hours. She is absolutely correct. We need an independent special counsel. Now, who could do that? Well, we're going to get to that here in just a second. But before we do that, there is so much proof of this cover-up that people are talking left and right about the fact that they didn't say a word. Here is somebody on the Jon Stewart show talking about it.
People were talking about it. But I think the point I was going to make about just my own perspective on it was I remember feeling I want to talk about this as a huge liability. I want to talk about this as something Joe Biden can overcome. But I'm not going to go so far as to say, I think Joe Biden must drop out. He is too old to be president. A, because I didn't know exactly what was going on behind the scenes. But B, if Joe Biden is the candidate, I want him to fucking win because I care about the country. And I can't, and I don't want to be somebody suddenly.
There it is. Kept quiet, knew about the dementia, but we have to win at all costs, right? At all costs. Doesn't matter if it's a dementia patient, right? That's why they're glad that he was a dementia patient, so they could control him. But again, this is what we are finding out. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is even better. First off, I want you to, when we're done with this segment, I want you to go on social media and I want you to put out a new hashtag. And you'll know what that hashtag is here in just a minute. But first, this was Joe Biden in 2015. Now, I want you to listen because he is clear, he is concise, he is articulate as he usually was back then, but he joked about something that is now in the news, and it ain't no joke. Listen to this.
And so he said, well, what do you want? I said, two things. One, to be able to...
So let me back up. So they're interviewing him, and they're talking about his role as vice president for Obama. And this is what he's saying.
Completely be level with you and argue with you if we disagree privately. And secondly, I want to be the last person in the room on every major decision. And I didn't mean it figuratively. I meant literally to be the last person in the room. He's president. He gets to make the decision. And unless there's an overwhelming disagreement on principle, in which case I develop prostate cancer or something and leave. And he knew I meant that for a major fundamental disagreement. But there have been none. And I get to be the last person in the room, make my case to him privately. And that's where I think I could serve best. And so...
Did you hear what he said? He made a joke in 2015 about prostate cancer. Think he might have known something and didn't tell anybody? At least that's what I think. So anyway, wanted to point that out. Now, this would be the person who would be the best special prosecutor. And I think you know why. Roll it.
Rudy, if the president of the United States picked up the phone and called you and said, hey, come over to the Oval, I got to talk to you, and said, I need a special counsel that knows, that can start with a running start and knows all the details about Ukraine and other things, would you take that job today?
Sure. I have my hand up already. I've taken the oath of Ronald Reagan.
Okay, what would you do? Okay, walk me through. Okay, what would you do? Tell me, what would you do?
Well, I'd have to start several investigations and then see if they can be merged into one. First of all, I do the one outlined in this book. I mean, I already have an outline. And that is the RICO case against the crime family. There'd be four specific predicate acts of bribery. They would involve Russia. They would involve Ukraine. They would involve China, probably about 8 separate ones, bribes from China. I'll give you an example. I'll give you a quid pro quo for China. He got altogether 31 point something million that we can count, right, from China. First thing he does when he gets his hands on Afghanistan is he gives up the Bagram Air Base. Bagram Air Base is 400 miles from China. No American in their right mind would give it up unless the American were bribed. He never did anything to pursue recovering for us for COVID from China. He allowed fentanyl to come into this country at records that exceed any other American presidency almost combined. So there are plenty of quid pro quos for the Chinese money that he got that no sane or insane president would do.
If he's got the beginning of dementia, and remember, we had Mark Caputo on here the other day who broke the story about the Herd tapes, and he said, hey, he reported in 2019 how people were talking about how Biden didn't have his fastball. And the Axios had another story yesterday about how Democrats in the House in 2023 were saying he shouldn't run again. But in the first campaign, are you going to also go around the Praetorian Guard, the deep state that put him in? Remember, why did Ray and Bart not surface this? Because Bernie Sanders or Pocahontas or one of those people would have been the nominee. They had their nominee. They had the cipher. They were going to steal the election round, which was Joe Biden.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, you can go back to Hillary extorting him with this back in 2015 when she told him that she knew all about Hunter Biden. I mean, everybody knew about Hunter Biden. It was the only ones who didn't know about it, the press. And the reality is you also would put them all in a grand jury. Now, that's very different than one of those silly congressional hearings. First of all, they have to answer. And if you feel that they're not materially involved, you can give them immunity. If they don't answer, you put them in jail. That's how I.
So you would impanel. Okay, so hang on. So you're telling me you take over special counsel, you would impanel a grand jury right away, or would you designate the FBI to give you some investigative apparatus? I want you to walk me through your critical path because
Cash and I would have to have
Rudy Giuliani. Are you the best guy to do this? Yes or no? Are you the best guy?
Well, I am. I'm the best guy to do it in terms of knowledge and experience and having never lost a case as a prosecutor, including some of the most difficult cases of the 20th century. Am I the best? And the press will go nuts. But if whoever takes this job, at least I'm already, they've gone nuts on me already. And I've already proven, I can put out, as you said, for everything they say about me, I can prove I told the truth.
I'm not worried about the media. I'm not worried about the media. They're defeated anyway. What about, can you work 18-hour days? To do this, the head guy here has got to be 18 hours a day, 20 hours a day, 7 days a week. You agree?
I'm going to be doing that until we have my funeral, Steve. I mean, I do that now. And plus, I would get I get the very best. I mean, the people who helped me crush the mafia, and some of the younger ones who are doing a great job. The reality is,
what about the cancer cover-up? Where does that come in?
Oh, come on. I had prostate cancer 25 years ago. I've been cured of it for 25 years. My father died of prostate cancer, a horrible death, because he got it late, because they didn't have a test then. There's no way in the world you develop that cancer in 2 days. How about more like 20 years?
But the point I'm making, as ill as he is, do you call him in and depose him for 4 days in a row, nonstop?
Unless his lawyer stops me and we have to litigate it. I had a great one once with Joe Bonanno for 4 days and got him held in contempt because he said he was too sick to testify.
Was Joe Bonanno on the Gleason 9 for cancer? That's what I'm saying. I know you've done this before.
But he had avoided jail.
You broke Milken, you broke the mafia. I got that part. But I'm saying today, with a guy that's 80-some years old and has, Gleason 9 or whatever is advanced prostate cancer. Does Rudy bring him in? Does Rudy bring him in and you grill him for 4 days? Because Herb played patty cake with him.
He's going to have to make the case that he's not capable. Actually, the better case is he's mentally incompetent to really what Herb was trying to say, but didn't have the guts to say it, is that Biden is incapable of participating in his own defense. He's so far out of it.
Exactly. Now, I stopped it there for a reason, okay? The media is going to say, how dare you have an 80-something-year-old feeble man with cancer answering these questions under oath. You're so mean. This is the right-leaning media and how sick they are and this and that. That's what they would say. But you know what? This would be an easy thing to do because all you have to do is this. You find 4 doctors. Trump's doctor, the other doctor who's a congressman in Texas that worked for Trump and others, Republican doctor, and then you bring in another 2 specialists on the left. Maybe another doctor, maybe O'Connor, whatever. Have him do a deposition, and 1 other doctor. So you have 4 doctors, and you have 2 Republicans, and you have 2 Democrats, and they all get a chance to talk to Biden on camera, under oath, doing a deposition. And clearly, from the results of that, we will clearly know that he is incapacitated. He can't defend himself. He doesn't know anything. He can't do anything. And now, once that happens, and even if it was 2 Republicans say he's incompetent and the other 2 say he's not, you've still got the her as a backup from years ago. Or if they say, oh, well, you can't do that now because now he's not, competent, but he was back then. Well, no, he wasn't, because we have the her tapes, right? And more than likely, it would be 4-0 that they would all say that he is incapacitated, or at least 3-1. Maybe the crooked doctor that's going to also probably be indicted might say, oh, no, he's as sharp as a tack, right? But the other ones won't do that. So you know what you do? You get this guy to be incapacitated, and as soon as he is designated that by 4 different doctors, there's no way he could have done any of these pardons. It's impossible. And then all you do is you challenge the auto pen right at the Supreme Court. You bring all the documents, you pull everything together, you hire 10, 15 handwriting analysis experts, forensic paper experts. You bring in all these people. You do a special counsel, not a congressional investigation. And you put this all together. You overturn and have repealed the auto pen pardons. Have at it, folks. You can take them all down. The entire Biden family. All of them. You can take down every deep state idiot. You can take them all down. Because what will end up happening, these people will all be subpoenaed. They'll all have to come in. They're all going to be afraid to go to jail. And they're all going to start singing like the canaries that they all are. And the next thing you know, pointing fingers to get out of jail is going to reveal the entire setup from 2020 and actually even before that, because it was probably planned somewhere around 2018, early 2019, when they were doing the whole pandemic thing. So it was planned well before the 2020 election. All they needed was a patsy. They needed somebody that they could control, and they needed somebody that had name recognition that they could just put out there as a, quote, moderate Democrat, which of course he wasn't, and maybe he was years ago, but he certainly wasn't then. He wasn't anything. He was a mushroom. He was nothing. He was pudding-brained. He had nothing at all. And so because of that, it worked for them. Thank God President Trump won the election, or we would never have gotten to the bottom of any of this. So the reality is, that's what you do. You go after him, you deposition, under oath, on video, you get 4 separate doctors to look at him through the deposition. They're all going to come to the same conclusion, that he is mentally incapacitated. And if he is, that's even another charge. Because now there's no way he could have done any of these pardons, and quite frankly, couldn't have signed on to any other legislation like the Inflation Reduction Act, which doesn't reduce inflation. So there are ways to bury, let me repeat that, bury the Biden crime family once and for all. Hunter, everybody else, Jill, what's the brother's name? It escapes me right now. It doesn't matter. Frank, all of these people will all go down. And it won't matter because you won't have a pardon anymore, because the auto pen is the key. The auto pen is the key. Now, this guy would be the perfect special counsel. So, this weekend, please go on social media and put hashtag Special Counsel Giuliani. Special Counsel Giuliani, special counsel Giuliani, because he's never lost a case and he systematically took down the 5 families in the mafia in New York. Okay? You want to talk about a legendary prosecutor? Whether he's older now or not, it's this man right here. He has the desire, the skill set, the knowledge, the depth, the detail, and the research from his own book, The Biden Crime Family, to put them in jail for the rest of their lives. Let's hope it happens. Those are my thoughts. What are yours? Put them down in the comments below. We'll see you in the next one.